Welcome to the Dr. Cloud Show. I don't know which platform it is that we hook up at Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all this stuff, but starting yesterday, I think, now when we go live, I get a new window that pops up that makes me have to punch it. So, anyway, I'm glad that you are on the other side of that window. I want to welcome you to the program. For those of you who have never been here before, it is a call in program, and I'm going to give the number out right here at the top because this is one of your best shots of getting in. And the lines are open because we just started. So let me get it to you. 844-940-2774. 844-940-2774. 844-940-2774. Okay, welcome to today's show. Lots of fun things happening around here. Just had a great meeting with our team about we're organizing a lot of stuff around the upcoming workshop, the webinar that you can attend. And it's going to be one of my favorites for sure. Restoring Your Brokenness, Joining Faith and Mental Health is the name of it. It's on July 14th. You can sign up 2 hours live right here. And you know what? The last couple of times I've actually, there's no network's going to pull the plug on us. I added so much material to the last one that it ended up being almost 3 hours. Now, you don't have to watch that in one gulp. You can stream it whenever you'd like. But the point being, we're slated for 2 hours, and it will be on July 14th. If you can't watch it live, you sign up for the live event, and then you can stream it, like you can Netflix or something, just at your leisure and over again. And that's probably the best way to do it because this is going to go into the process of how our faith affects our mental health. And before you go, thinking mental health, well, I don't have any mental health problems. Oh, yes, you do. If we define mental health in the real way that mental health issues show up. A lot of times we use this word mental health and we have, you've heard the phrase, there's a mental health crisis in America. Well, what a lot of people don't realize is we're not talking about one flew over the cuckoo's nest. We're not talking about way out there extremes, kind of the way people think about some of the old vestiges of, images in their head. What is mental health? Well, open up the DSM, which is the doctor's manual that we use, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of all of these mental health issues. And guess what we're talking about? Of course, there's some difficult, very hard, extreme issues in there that a lot of people don't have. But how about this list? Mood disorders, depression. Anybody ever struggle with your mood? Loss of energy, kind of, start to feel down, can't quite get out of it, depressed about stuff. How about anxiety disorders, stress related stuff, ruminations, worrying, kind of panicky feelings, generalized anxiety. How about addictions, some habit pattern or something that you can't stop? How about dealing with difficult personalities like narcissistic personalities or borderline personalities or obsessive compulsive kinds of issues? How about the inability to have enough focus, for example, where you can accomplish the goals you want? It affects the performance side of life. See, we're not talking about extreme stuff. We talk about mental health. We're talking about this whole arena of life that I always talk about, which is the clinical arena, how well we are thriving. And so as a psychologist, my mission when I first entered this field was not only to become, the best psychologist that I could be and learn as much as I could learn. Not only that, but also my mission was to try to understand how faith affected all those areas and how faith and psychology, what are we even talking about? We talk about those two entities and how are they related? And I never bought the idea that there was just emotional problems and then there were spiritual problems. And as we know now, decades later, it's exactly what the research shows, that there are not these firewalls between the two, that our faith and our spirituality and our spiritual growth and all of that affects getting well. But a lot of times we don't even realize it. And it's so cool to find out that your faith might have a lot more to do with healing you than just a lot of these religious formulas that you might have gotten in church. And I love church. I'm very invested in my church. I love our church, and I work with all sorts of churches. But a lot of times in the, and I'm not going to call it church, I'm going to say in the Christian world, you get these pat answer kind of formulas that people that aren't Christians look at and go, "You guys are crazy." And I agree. And you know what? So does the Bible. A lot of times I talk to people who don't believe in Jesus, and they'll say, "You're one of those," and I'll say, "Yeah, I'm one of those." We start talking about it, and they say, "Well, I just could never get with the idea of boom, 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 boom." And I go, "Neither could he. Do you know that that's not in the Bible? What you just said, that that's a Christian idea, not a Bible idea?" No, I didn't know that. Well, there you go. And we're going to talk about all that, and we're going to talk about very practical ways that spiritual growth in the so many aspects of how the scriptures address what psychology calls evidence-based treatments that help us with all these issues. So that's coming up July 14th. Go register, and here's how you register. Go to this website, www.boundaries.me/restore. www.boundaries.me/restore. And you can sign up. And while you're there, since you're going there anyway to sign up, now remember, you don't have to watch it live, you can watch it later, but sign up for it. While you're there, check out boundaries.me. Go there and look at not only all the offerings as you scroll down the homepage, but go look at the list of courses. We have over 80 courses on there. When you become a subscriber, like any other subscription service, like Amazon Prime or Netflix or Hulu or all those things, you log on and you can watch any or all of that. That's how it works. So go check it out. All righty. I'm excited about that. As you can tell, it's going to be fun. I remember one time I was on an airplane. I've shared this story before. You might have heard it. But it's kind of an example that people don't know this. What the scriptures have, just the scriptures themselves, apart from the processes and the spiritual growth dynamics that we'll be talking about. But I saw this lady on a plane one time, and I never say I'm a psychologist, on an airplane, because you're stuck there, right? And as soon as you say you're a psychologist, you're going to hear what I heard that day, because I did let it slip. And she goes, "Oh, I got to talk to you. I got to talk to you about my boyfriend." And I said, "What's with your boyfriend?" She goes, "Well, we just broke up, and I'm so devastated. I'm so depressed, and I'm just afraid every time I do this, I break up with him. I know I got to break up with him. I get away, but then I go back, and every time I go back, and then I go back, and it's the same problem over and over again. And then I break up with him, and then I miss him, and then I go back, and then I break, and it's the same problem over again. And then I break up." I said, "Well, what's the problem?" She said, "His anger. He just gets angry, and I just can't. I just can't deal with it. And he doesn't, he doesn't change. So I have to break up. But then I can't stand breaking up." And I said, "Well, when does he get angry? What's his anger thing?" And she goes, "Well, he gets angry when I don't do what he wants to do. Or if I want to, sometimes if I disagree, or I don't want to, just really it's when I don't want to do what he wants to do. And so I give in, and then he's not angry anymore, and it's great. But then I'm like, I just can't do that. And I give in." I said, "Well, there's an old saying that if you rescue an angry man, you'll only have to do it again tomorrow. And that's what you're finding." She goes, "Say that again?" I said, "If you rescue an angry man, meaning start people pleasing so he won't be mad, you'll only have to do it again tomorrow." And she looks at me and she goes, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's exactly what's that." She goes, "Where did you get that?" I said, "It's in the Bible, Proverbs 19:19. Look it up sometime." And she turned to me, and I'll never forget this. I mean, I knew this, I've experienced this, but there's something about that day and the look on her face. And here was the look. She goes, "That's in the Bible?" I said, "Yeah, go look it up. Look it up in the New American Standard Version if you want to. It's pretty clear though. But yeah, go look it up. It's in the Bible." She goes, "I never knew stuff like that was in the Bible." I said, "Yeah, I didn't either till I got out of all the churchianity, which a lot of it's not in the Bible, and I started trying to find out what Jesus actually said." Well, there you go. Anyway, I won't belabor this. I want to talk about our other point for today before we hop into calls. 844-940-2774 is the number. 844-940-2774. 844-940-2774 is the number to call in and get on the show. Now, let me, there's one little thing I want to talk to you about. And, actually, I did this yesterday. I kind of almost talked about two ideas yesterday. Usually I only talk about one, and I felt like I was ranting on, kind of pontificating in a monologue, which you didn't. I don't know if you turn, that's what I ask y'all to come tell us and give us feedback. These points of the day, which I'm about to talk about, our main one, and other kind of information dumps that I do. It's stuff that's in my head. I don't really know if I'm boring you when I do that, or if you find that helpful, or if you'd rather listen to calls the whole time. And so we need your feedback. Anyway, it's just a question, but I'm going to give you one more right now since I don't have your feedback yet. And that's our thought for the day. Here's a thought that I want you to think about: your routines. Your routines. What are your routines? Some people go, "I don't really have any." Oh, yes, you do. We all do. It's the way our brains are designed. That we get into patterns. That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. We're wired that way. And your prefrontal cortex, when it learns something new, it is on a mission to be able to get that out of consciousness and delegate it down to the lower regions of the brain where you don't have to think about that anymore. You just automatically do it. Now, here's the thing about our routines. Our routines are building something. Our routines, call them habits, whatever. I like to get away from the word habit because it's a little more complicated than a routine in some ways. But what I'm talking about is anything that you do systematically over and over and over again. And you do. I have a morning routine. Okay? Pretty much looks the same. We have a nighttime routine. Pretty much looks the same. I mean, there's those nights, right, where we have an event or go out or something. Some people go to work, you have a lunch routine. There's all sorts of, you have a routine about how you brush your teeth. Now, here's the thing. Let's just establish that we are routinists, right? We do things according to patterns. Here's the question. You have routines. Are your routines building what you want to build in your life? Because that's how everything is built. It's built on a routine. If you want to build about an extra 10 to 15 pounds a year over time with compounding interest, then just establish a routine. After dinner, I'm making one up, go sit in front of the TV, and 30 minutes later, go up and scrounge in the cupboard and find the chips or the cookies or the ice cream, and then go sit down and enjoy a great movie. That's a routine if it happens more than once or twice. Okay. There's lots of routines. What are we trying to build? Well, if you're trying to build health, for example, my wife has a routine and it is like clockwork. She and two of her closest girlfriends, 8 o'clock, I hear them drive up. I hear the dog getting, her leash hooked up. They're going on their walk every day, pretty much. Actually, they do it however many times a week, and she does it on her own. But the point is, that's a routine. It never varies really, unless we're traveling or something. And that's the time that worked out for all of them with their work and different stuff they have to do. Other people do it at 6 o'clock. Other people do it in the evening, whatever. Doesn't matter. But it's anything that you repeat over and over. Now, here's the thing. When you repeat something, it is building something. So what are you trying to build? If you are looking at, for example, getting out of debt, what are your routines, as Dave Ramsey would ask? What is the routine that you've set that's going to take a certain percentage of whatever and a routine of each paycheck? You put that in the paying down debt thing. Okay. When I was growing up as a competitive golfer, okay, I had a routine. Up at 6, go to the range, work through certain drills over and over and over. One of them, for example, I would hit 100 balls a day with just my left arm, building that move with that left arm every day. I would go to the chipping green and I would dump my shag back out, and I had a routine, and I had to sit there and chip across the green until 30 minutes was up. No. An hour was up. No. Until I made 3 of them. Now, any of you golfers, to chip in every now and then you make one. Well, as Gary Player once said after he holed it out of a sand trap, here's a routine for you. He was one of the greatest sand players ever. He was in a tournament. He made it out of a sand trap, and the lady in the gallery goes, "Wow, that was a lucky shot." And he said, "Yes, ma'am, it was. But you know what I find is the more I practice, the luckier I get." So what are your routines? What are your routines? What are you trying to build every day? What are the routines in a marriage? For example, one of the things that the marriage researchers tell us is that successful marriages have rituals. Usually they have bedtime rituals, or they have a morning ritual. There's something this couple, they get up every morning, they have coffee together. Doesn't have to be that. It could be 1,000 other things. Or they have a bedtime ritual. They go to bed together at the same time instead of, oh, see you later, and somebody veges in front of the TV for 2 hours by themselves and they never talk. Not that you can't do that as well if you have other routines, but successful marriages have routines. So I want you to think about this, because you are doing things over and over and over. The question is, if you're trying to build something, what is it you're doing over and over and over? And that's got to become a routine. And when it becomes a routine, it will become automatic. Okay. I'll give you 2 of mine that I've found very, very helpful. One of them is my daily scripture reading and prayer routine. Now, some days with work or whatever, if I'm, if I got to do all day offsites in a meeting, every now and then, I don't, let's say a different way. It won't happen 365 days out of the year. Okay. But it is a routine that's going to happen routinely as much as I can. So what I do in my routine, and it never changes. I read a chapter out of the Old Testament chronologically. I read a Psalm chronologically. I read the chapter of the book of Proverbs that corresponds with that day on the calendar. So today I would read what's coming up here? What is today? I'd read chapter 11 out of Proverbs. And then I will read a chapter in the New Testament. Now, those are my routines. I do other Bible reading just for a lot of reasons, here and there during the day or whenever. But that's something that's going to happen every day as much as I can. Okay. And then I have a prayer journal, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And each day has a list of different parts of life and different things that I pray for on that day. That's a routine. Okay. That really helps me. Doesn't make me a good faith person or a bad faith person. Routines build something. And what I find is that routine builds a lot of things in my life. And it really, really helps. Give me one more routine is I'm always reading 3 to 4 books every week, and in 3 or 4 different categories. I always have one going that is very technical, and I'm reading science and research and the psychological and neurological stuff that I talked to you about. I'm usually reading something in the business performance arena. Okay. And I'm usually reading something at the same time that is a spiritual memoir or a biography or tales of a missionary. You know, I love to, it's so interesting to me. People say, well, all the miracle stuff in the Bible, you don't see that. Of course you do. You know, read what happens in the mission field. People get raised from the dead in the name of Jesus. Yes, this happens. People get creative miracles. People get healed. People get this. They're out there. I'm always reading those by, missionaries' journeys and biographies and all of that. That's faith building for me, and I really enjoy it. And then I always have some cheesy novel. Okay, so that's a routine. I find that diet very helpful to me. Okay. So, and then you have routines with your kids or with your friends or whatever it is. This isn't about the content of what you do. It is about you are building things every day. Are you building the things that you want to be building in the routines that you have? And if your routines are not, which you have, if they're not building the things that you want in your marriage, in your family, in your dating life, in your health life, and all of that, then establish new routines, because routines build things. That's the point. That's the point. Routines build things. Where we don't really, in large part, I know this is oversimplification because bad things happen to people and all that, but in large part, if you want to be successful, watch what successful people do in that area and then do what they do. Generally, they're not reinventing the universe and how it works. They're just getting in line with it. And there's a whole field of performance science that has to do with looking at what successful people do, deconstructing what they do backwards, reverse engineering it backwards, deconstructing it into the components, and then teaching people to do those components. And guess what that equals? It equals similar success to the people that are doing it. Okay? So it's an old saying, if you want something you don't have, you're going to have to do some things you're not doing. New routines. Okay. Think about that in your marriage, in your life, all the different areas. Routines build things. All righty. 844-940-2774. 844-940-2774 is the number to get on the program. And we are going to go to Brent, who listens on Instagram. And Brent, I'm reading here, you have ex-girlfriend drama. Does that ever happen? I thought if you have an ex-girlfriend, the drama's gone. Dude, what's happening with you?
Well, first of all, I've been watching your show. I appreciate all your advice, and I love that you incorporate scripture in with your counseling work, and it's just been it's been helping, and just watching your shows. But yeah, I broke up with my girlfriend in January, and then a few months went by, and just kind of replaying what had happened.
How long a girlfriend?
We were together for 3.5 years.
Oh, that's significant.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So y'all broke up in January and then you started to say something else.
Yeah. So I broke up with her in January, and there was just a lot of tension, a lot of pressure on the relationship. But then a few months kind of went by,
In
and
the
I just
in
kind
the
of did some.
relationship, pressure in the relationship or on the relationship? On the relationship comes pressure
Um,
comes from the outside. In the relationship, two people find a way of creating that pressure themselves.
yeah, yeah. It started with pressure on the relationship, and then it ended up
Oh,
being within the relationship.
oh,
Um, so there just we had dated and then broke up and then got back together. And then when we got back together, just friends and family members just were not on her side, were not in favor of it. And so that created the tension. And
uh,
then it kind of dwindled into our
that's the
relationship
pressure
because
on the relationship.
yeah.
Why weren't her friends
And
and
so
family members looking at this relationship and going, Susie, you have won the lottery here. This guy, Brent, he's amazing. What the heck are you thinking, girl? Why weren't they saying that? What were they saying?
yeah, I wish they were. I was a piece of work. um,
Well, no,
so I
you
mean,
can be a piece of work and still be a catch, right? Didn't you?
yeah,
What
yeah.
were
I
they
mean,
upset
I
with?
think so. So I had a bad habit and just a pattern, and this is what I realized in the past few months is that I would push people away who were closest to me, and
Oh,
it just came from like childhood. Yeah, it just came
sure,
from like childhood stuff, and for
sure.
the past few months, I've been in therapy and digging into all that and getting healing from the past, and
Good for you,
it's
man.
really helped me.
Good for
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Yeah, so I'm thankful for that. That kind of realized that looking at my past relationships, like what was the problem, and it was a pattern where
And
I
is
would just
that
push
why she
people
broke
away
up
who
with
would be.
you? Is that why she broke up with you?
Yeah,
Because you would
I
push
broke
her
up with
away?
her.
Okay, you broke up
Yeah,
with her.
I pushed her away. Mhm.
You
Mhm.
okay. All right. So she wanted to be with you.
Yes. Yes. And
All
then
right.
over those months, just kind of, you know, doing a lot of thinking, a lot of just kind of, you know, looking at patterns, looking at my life, like what's the common theme here? What's going on? Why am I pushing people away? And then
Yeah.
that started an entire like thing of, now I'm in therapy and I didn't know it, but I had like trauma, emotional abuse from my past
Okay.
and everything.
All
And
right. And how
getting
old are
healing
you?
from that.
How old are you?
I'm 37.
37. Okay. Now, quick question.
Yeah.
Is this the first
hmm
girlfriend that you've done this with, that you've gotten close to and had a relationship and then pushed her away? Do you have a pattern of that? Or is this the
Yeah,
first serious one?
yeah. This is the second serious one, and I did it to the first one, and then um, did it to this one, and then somewhere around March, just kind of the lights went on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's going on here? So
What
that's
am I
when I
doing?
started
Okay.
doing.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what's the question?
So
This is familiar. I mean,
yeah.
this is totally
So
understandable. You're not a bad guy for being too injured to make a commitment. There's nothing morally
uh,
repugnant about that. It's very painful and it's not good.
yeah,
It's not good for obviously the women who get broken up with,
yeah,
but I'm just trying to
yeah,
get the shame out of it for you, that there's a reason you've done that. It's good that you're taking ownership with it and you're not going to hurt any more women without a,
right,
a warning sign on your forehead or something. So what? Tell
right,
tell
right.
tell me your question.
Yeah. So we broke up, and then I reached out to her, and I was like, hey, I've been doing a lot of thinking. This is what was going on. This is what's happening, and just asked her like, would you be open to maybe working things out, talking things through. And she was like, she wasn't sure. So we met up and we've been meeting up since. So we've been meeting up for like 3 months now. But the thing is that this is where it gets drama. She's talking to another guy. And so I'm totally cool with that. Like, I understand that. And I even told her, if your feelings are over there and you need to let me go and just move on, like, too bad, like, that would be tough, but I understand. And her response to that is just, I don't know. And
Yeah.
so we've been seeing each other.
What does
And I
seeing
guess the
each other
question
mean,
is,
though? You said you've been
yeah,
talking. What was the word you used? I can't remember meeting or something. What does seeing each other mean? Are
yeah.
y'all back in the relationship?
No, not entirely. So we were meeting up, going to dinner, going on dates, just kind of reconnecting. And
So you
then,
are you're back in the relationship.
yeah, I guess so. I
Yeah,
guess
you
so.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you probably
So,
swap and spit and more too, are you?
that stopped, but a little bit.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, that had stopped.
Okay, so you're totally
And
platonic
so,
now when you go to dinner and dates and all that.
yeah, now we are. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what's the question? I got to I could talk to you for a long time. There's a lot
Yeah.
to find out here. But give me a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. So the question is just kind of, what do I do moving forward? Like, I definitely feel a disconnect. I know she's also seeing somebody else. When I ask her about it, like, try to get clarity, try to get some kind of, like, hey, what's going on? She's just, I don't know. I have feelings for you. I have feelings for both of you. I don't know what to do.
Well,
And
but
so,
what do you mean? What do you do? What is it that you do?
yeah, like my question is, like, how should I kind of move forward?
Okay.
My friends and family are telling me.
Go ahead. Her friends
Sorry,
and
go
family.
ahead.
Her friends and
No,
family
no,
are
my friends and family are all, they're telling me to just let it go and move on.
because why?
Because she is interested in pursuing another guy as well.
Oh, okay. Well, she's also interested, and Brett, I say this with all due affection. She's also, or Brent, I'm sorry, I called you Brett. She's also probably interested in not getting burned again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, and again, I'm on your team here, but the reality
Yeah.
of the track record is that you've
Mm-hmm.
been with her for 3.5 years and you've made no commitment. And then you've broken
Mm-hmm.
up a few times. If she were calling me, I would ask her, why are you back with this guy? Give me a
Yeah.
reason. Give me a reason why you're back with this guy. And so there may
Yeah.
be a reason, but here's the reason for you as well, that for you to have any kind of hope for this relationship, that hope has got to be based on something objective. Now, you've given me 2, 3 really good objective reasons why you might have hope for this relationship. There are really good reasons why you definitely have hope for the future of Brent's relational life. And I'm really proud of you for that, right? Happy for you for that.
Yeah.
Number one,
Yeah.
this is different, Susie. Okay. This time you've realized, wait a minute, it's not all you. I've got some issues. I'm a commitment phobe. I get
Yeah.
close. I push it, and you're owning those. Number two, not only do I have some issues, I'm realizing I can't change those on my own. I need some help. Number three, I'm going to see a shrink who has a proven track record of helping people like me. Those are all really good things. So if I'm talking to her, I'm saying those are good things. Here's the question. Are those things going to be sustained long enough to where they're trustable? It's not long enough yet. are they sustained? Will they be trustable? And number two, are they bringing about the results that you would want them to bring about? So,
Yeah.
meaning that if you sustain this program and it's working and you're healing and you're growing and you're turning into Mr. I don't run from women anymore, then that's fantastic. Okay. It may be that you sustain this and you get to a place where this particular path has gotten you as far as you can go, and you got to maybe at some point add something to it or change therapists and see somebody else or bring in retreats or I don't know. But you always want to look at the method. And you always look, are you sustaining the method, and is the method helping? Okay. Now, having said that, I would say the same thing to her that I would say to you, which is we don't know yet. We don't know yet how committed Brent is to seeing this through, but time will tell. Okay. So I think she's really rolling the dice, and which she could do if she hopped back into it now and said bye to everybody else in her life, and she's going to place all of her chips on red, right? She could do that, and that would be fine. And I wouldn't judge her for that. I'm just saying, okay, sweetheart, you're also taking a risk because it's not proven yet. So
yeah,
that's what I would say to her. Now, what I'd say to you is there's another side of this, Brent, and that is many times with somebody that's not fully capable yet of making a commitment, the kind of people that they get in relationships with have issues that are very compatible with their dysfunction.
Right.
And then when they start to get, they start to change and this, that, and the other person isn't changing, then you find out, wow, there was a reason why not only that you had issues, but there was a reason also why the relationship was not right. I don't know if that's true or not. She could be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think also that you've got some time here to learn as well. And so what's the answer in that? Well, the answer is this, that when you guys are kind of halfway in a relationship and not, it also serves the danger of it slowing down your process. Or if it's brought into the process, it could be in service of helping your process. So you got to find out, is she a security blanket that's kind of keeping you from making some changes that you need to make in some ways? Or can she really be brought into this, and does she want to enter into it to come into the whole healing process with you, and y'all work on these issues together because you think there is something there between the two of you that should be long-term if you were able to make a commitment? So that's how I would look at it.
Right.
That's what you got to figure out.
Okay.
I don't know the answer without talking to her and you and what your issues are, but I think you got to think through that. And I think she's got to really be wary. If I were you, I would tell her, if you want her to be, if you decide with your therapist and all your peeps, I think there's so much there and so much good. I can see myself with her long-term, which, by the way, if you don't see yourself marrying this woman at this point, after 3.5 years, then I would say it's time to cut loose. Right. But if you're saying she is the one that I think I want to marry, if I can get able to get married. Okay. Well, then you bring her into the process and y'all work on those issues. If she's not, and there's reasons that you decide she's not, then I think you need to say, look, as much as I love you and as much as we have, I don't think there's future in this and we should move on. And there's got to be a good reason. There's got to be a good reason, man, if it hadn't worked in 3.5 years with other issues besides just your commitment thing, there's probably some reason that you got to look at that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Okay. Good luck with that. And you know what?
Yeah.
She's not the issue. Remember, your healing is the issue. Get healthy.
Yeah.
And what might happen
That's right. That's right.
is you get healthy, and then really you have new eyes, and you go, "What the heck am I thinking? She's perfect," and you run back and you rescue this damsel out of the arms of the wrong man. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it'd make a good movie. So call us. I live in LA. We can get that movie made. It's happened before. Okay, man. Thanks for your call.
Thank you.
It's oh gosh, ladies, let me talk to you on the other side of the Brent's out there. As I told him, so I'm not talking behind his back here. If she called, I would say, you better have a good reason, because you've seen 3.5 years that you've given to this relationship. And so, ladies and gentlemen, have a good reason for spending your time and your hope in anything. Have a good reason. Whether it's a relationship like that, if you're dating, whether it's a job, a career, whether it's a particular church, whether it's a group of friends, your time and your heart is pretty much all you got. Everything else can disappear with a tornado that comes through town, or a financial market, or an industry, or you know what I mean? It's your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength. Remember what Jesus said? We love God with our heart, mind, soul, and strength. That's everything. Your heart, your mind, your soul, and your efforts, your passions, your investment. That's what we take to the moments that we have been given in this life. I was talking about routines earlier. What routines are we giving our heart, mind, soul, and strength to? Because that's building something. In a relationship, you're dating, you're giving your heart, mind, soul, and strength to that relationship. What's it building? Better have a good reason. You may be in a season where you don't want, if you're single, you don't want a long-term relationship. You just want to date without any commitment. That's fine. You're building something, probably. You're healing, you're learning, you're growing. I talked about this in our dating webinar, which you can find by going to boundaries.me/dating if you want to see that. There are seasons where I tell people the last thing you should do is get in a committed relationship right now. You should be dating a lot of different people and growing and learning, recovering, and a bunch of stuff. Don't you sign up for another deal today. That's okay, because you're building something. I just want you to be cognizant of what it is that you are building. Okay, let's talk to Renee, who listens on Instagram. And while you're on Instagram, guys, hey there, Renee. Welcome to the program.
How are
can
you?
I help you?
Thank you so much. I'm just so excited to talk to you. So as I was telling your assistant, I've got an 18-year-old daughter. She's the youngest of 3 girls.
I got to tell you, the producer, Albie, I got to shout out to him, because you were telling him, you said and everybody loves Albie. If for no other reason, you don't even want to get on the show, you should just call in so you get to talk to Albie, because everybody loves telling their story to Albie. Okay, so what were you telling Albie?
Okay, so my youngest daughter, she's the youngest of 3. She's 18. She's graduated high school, very responsible, very good kid. She spent a lifetime showing cattle. And a camp that she attended for many years, they have asked her to come this summer to help with the camp. And my problem is the mama bear is, they want her to come. They're going to put her up in a hotel. And I told her, well, I'll go ahead and I'll come with you and I'll just shop and stuff during the day. And she looked at me like I had three heads and she said, what? Do you not trust me? Why can I not go I'm going by myself. I don't need you to go with me. And first I was hurt. And then I thought, wait a minute, I don't know if I want her going 3 hours away from home, being by herself in a strange area, in a hotel alone. And so I don't know if I just push it and say, no, you need to have a parent go with you, or, okay, honey, you're 18. Call us if you need anything. I'm struggling to let it go.
All right. So I have two daughters about that age. They didn't go 3 hours away. They went all the way. One of them went all the way. I live in LA. One of them went all the way to the East Coast. The other one went halfway across the country.
Yeah.
To go to school. Right. And
yeah.
Got their own apartment. Am I crazy?
I know. That's what I keep telling myself. She's 18. I just need to let this go.
18.
And she is going to school she's going off to school in the fall. She'll be at the university in a dorm.
What is the danger? I mean, she's going to be in some seedy hotel out on, like you see on the Bates Hotel out of Psycho, when it's on some dusty road with one light, with a light bulb on the side of the curb, and then
no, it's a smaller town in Navasota, Texas. I mean, it's a small town. It's just me. I guess I've always been protective. They've lived a sheltered
is it safe?
life.
I mean, this is an organized group that she's been in this industry for a long time. She's well connected with this camp. Is this safe? Would God and the Beverly Hillbillies say this is safe?
Yes.
Well, then what if it's safe? That's the big question. Is it safe? And she's integrated with people that are going to see her every day. Will she be in a community or just wander around, in dark streets at night? I wouldn't want that. But she ought to be able to figure that out too. I wouldn't want an 18-year-old not having that thought in her head that I got to be safe and watch out for myself. So if there's no danger, Mama, you raised, this is your moment. This is where you put all that work into.
I know, right? That's why I'm saying, why am I having such a hard time with this? Well, it's okay to go to college, but to be in a hotel by yourself, I'm like, oh, I don't know.
What's the difference? Other than community.
That's a good question.
Is she going to be connected to a community?
They'll be off-site. Yeah, I mean, she'll be staying off-site.
Look, I just think the big question here is safety. The rest of it's maturity. And you say she's got the maturity to handle it. And so I would tell her to, here's what I want. I want a safety report. Go talk to the people that want you to come and say, I need to go back and lobby my mom and just tell her I'm going to be safe, going from the camp to the hotel and back to the camp, or at night or whatever. And that's something she ought to be concerned about that as well, right? When my daughter got an apartment, that was a big concern she had, and she researched it and all that. So the safety issue is the only issue that I can think of. That she's 18 years old, Renee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you a story.
Okay.
Maybe this will make you feel better. When I was 11 years old, my cousin was the governor, and my best friend's uncle was a state legislator. So somehow they had a what pages are? Pages in the Senate and the House of Representatives. They're young people that work there and run errands for senators. And all
errand people. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got invited to be a page in the House of Representatives. I was 11 or 12 years old. I was 12 years old. And so I lived in Vicksburg, which is about an hour from the state capital in Jackson.
Mhm.
And so I got this great opportunity to go there for a week, miss school, go there for a week, and work in the House of Representatives. Okay,
Yeah.
put me on a my parents put me on a bus, gave me some money, said when you get there, go go check in and get a room. You have to get yourself up and go to work every morning. Come back. So I went and checked in, got a room, and went to work every day. went And
Yeah.
then at the end of the week, the representative, the friend of my friend, the uncle of my friend, he, you know, drove me back home. And I
Wow.
remember because I used to play competitive golf, you know, throughout the Southeast and tournaments and everything. My parents have to drive me around this and the other. Well, in those days, you could get your driver's license at 15. And so I remember my parents were so happy when I got my driver's license at 15 and I could drive myself to the tournaments and check in a hotel. And I'm dead serious. We live 200 miles. I'll give you one example. We live 200 miles from Mississippi coast. And I would get in my car and drive down to the coast and check in a Holiday Inn, play a 3-day tournament, and come home.
Wow.
Now, some people say, well, we live in a different world now. And this and that. I don't, obviously there's different, I'm not suggesting by at all that everybody let their kids at 15 get in a car and go wherever they want. This is structured. There were people involved. There were networks. But my point is, cognitively, maturity wise, there are teenagers there are teenagers that basically run divisions of family businesses. They're perfectly capable. There are others that are not. So what you have to look at whenever you're looking at giving more freedom to a kid, which 18 in my view is not a kid, they can go to war,
Okay.
right? Then you have
Yeah.
to ask the question, it's not about the age, it's about the maturity level. Can they handle, because that's what we do in all of life. There are 40-year-olds that the court system says you can't handle driving a car anymore. You can't handle being trusted to leave the house. We're going to put an ankle bracelet on you. They're 40 years old.
Yeah.
It's not about the
Yeah.
age, it's about the maturity level.
Okay.
So if I were you, I would check out the safety because this sounds like an otherwise great experience that she's very, very excited about. And I don't know any more than that, so I'm not telling you what to do, but that's what I would be looking at.
Yeah.
And also,
Okay.
I would ask her, how does this, there's a lot of ways you can spend your summer. How does this set you up for whatever you want to do next? And it sounds like it may be some great learning experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. It for sure is. Yep. In the community that she loves.
All right, Mama.
Okay. All right. Well, I sure appreciate it. I was off work today. I was lucky to see you live on Instagram, so I'm glad I got.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm glad you called in. Do your best to make sure she's safe. If it's not, if it's dangerous, then it's a dumb idea whether Mama wanted her to go or not. If she were an orphan, this would be a dumb idea if it's not safe. But that's
yeah.
Otherwise, what a great experience. She's 18 years old. You got to loosen the grip a little bit would be my thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. That helps me, gives me a little more comfort.
Okay. I hope it works
All right.
out well.
Thank you.
Make sure she's safe.
Thank
All right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Oh, what was that old song? Mama, don't let your boys grow up to be cowboys. Is that what it says? Or don't let your girls grow up and date cowboys. I remember when we wrote Boundaries, that song was around. We'd say, Mama, don't let your girls grow up to be codependents. Doesn't turn out well all the time. Anyway, I have a little bit of a pet peeve. Helicopter parenting. Not that Renee is that. This is a new juncture in her life. I'm not talking about her, but it reminded me of the topic that I just see so many parents overdoing their kids' lives. your job as a parent is to build maturity that is able to handle life on their own. And nowadays, this parenting thing has extended well into the, I don't know, people in their 50s are still getting parented. And I mean, I'm a little old school in this, I realize, but at the same time, as a psychologist, I mean, we're trying to develop maturity and emotional regulation and good judgment, decision making, and competency. And children, remember, as a parent, your job is to be a guardian. One of my favorite verses, Galatians 4, says, while we were children, we were under guardians and managers, meaning parents or parent figures. So, what does a guardian do? A guardian protects kids from danger. All right? But remember, parents, there's two kinds of danger you need to protect your kid from. It's the danger of their immaturity that wants to do things that they're not mature enough to go do yet. And if Renee's daughter were 8 years old, riding her, cowgirl cattling thing that she does, says, I want to go check in a hotel 3 hours away and do this all throughout the summer. And you're 8 years old. No. I'm going to guard you from your grandiose fantasies. You can't drive a car at 12. You can't go do this. You can't do that. And we guard them and protect them and say, absolutely not. But you also got to guard them against something else. Not only do you have to guard children against their grandiosity of thinking that they can go do things that they're not ready to handle, but you also have to guard them from the regressive wish to remain younger than they actually are. And you got to push them to independence. And you have to limit your own regressive wishes to guard them by guarding you and your wish to hold on too tightly and too long. There's two aspects of guardianship. Guarding them from wanting to do too much and guarding them from wanting to do too little. And they will always want to regress if something's too hard. Oh, it's too hard. Oh, that's too much. Oh, that's too scary. Well, tough. Do it. And then come back and we'll talk about it. So remember, good rule of thumb is, if there are norms out there that say by this time most kids can do this unless there's special circumstances, then I got to ask myself, then why am I holding on to not equipping my kid to go do that? And I just think, well, I don't think, I mean, I know it. I read an article a couple of years ago just about the colleges now that have to open up new departments called parental relations because their kids go off and check into a dorm and they're having squabbles with a roommate or with kids on the dorm or whatever. And they're calling home and texting mom and this, that, and the other. And then mom or dad calls the school. This is in college. Are you kidding me? Parents going to call the school to get them involved in a dispute that they're having on the dorm floor? Equip your kids to work out their own arguments. I remember when my girls were, I don't know, 6 or 7 maybe, and they would do the squabbling thing. Olivia did this. Now, Lucy did that. You know how kids do. And they would run to me, Daddy, she did this. Daddy, she did that. And there was one point when they were old enough, and I just said, guys, stop. Okay, here's the deal. You got to complain against her. You got to complain against her. And you guys are bringing that to Daddy. All right. And I'm going to be the judge, right? That's what you want me to do. You want to say, you're right, she's wrong. or vice versa. Isn't that what you want? And they're nodding. Yeah. She's wrong. She's wrong. I go, okay, so here's how it works. This is daddy court. I'm the judge, and I'll be glad to entertain your case, and I'll hear your arguments. All right. And I'm going to hear your argument, and I'm going to hear your argument. And then you bring your case to daddy court, then daddy's going to decide who's right and who's wrong. And here's the way this works. If you bring a case to me, an argument like you got right now, which you can do, the loser is going to pay the court costs, because I don't do this for free. All right. So it's going to cost you, and I'd give them a price. Might be a bicycle for a week, or I'm going to sell it and give the money to the other one, or who knows what it was, depending. There's going to be a court cost if you lose. Now, if you think you got a good enough case, then come on, bring it on. But if you lose, you're going to pay the court costs. Those girls turned and looked at each other, and their eyes were this big, and they said, "Oh, it's okay, Daddy. We'll figure it out." You know what? I got a lot more of those complaints. I mean, a lot less of those complaints when they had to work it out on their own. So anyway, I'm off on a rant because it's just an area. Find out what kids that age are able to do. And if they're able to do it, and there's no special circumstances why they can't, then let's help empower them to figure out how to do it. Okay, we are almost out of time. Let's take one more. Where in the world are we here? Trying to look at all the calls we have. We're so out of time. But I am going to take one more, and because she's been waiting the longest, and the rest of you that we're not getting to, please call me back. We will be able to do that. But right now, we're going to talk to Donna, who listens on Facebook. And Donna, welcome to the program.
Hi, Dr. Cloud. It's so nice to speak to you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Donna. Tell me how I can help you.
Well, basically, as I had, spoken to the lovely gentleman who answered the phone, I've just been experiencing, you mentioned stress and routine, and I said that's basically what I feel like I'm doing. I have stress as a routine, and I'm not finding a good way to get out of it on my own. So basically, it seems like I have a lot of issues that repeat itself in my home life with my husband and children, mostly my husband, and also my work life. So I have a lot of similar triggers for things that, bother me, that I feel are incorrect, or people are doing things wrong. I'm very, very much like a do things right kind of person. I've noticed
that triggers your stress when other people don't live by your rules. Is that kind of the way it works?
Well, absolutely. It's like, with customers acting a certain way, demanding returns on things they're not allowed to return. I'm like a very rule-driven person. So yeah, definitely I'm like, I follow the rules. Everyone should. Obviously, that's very not realistic. Dreamy,
but
that's
home,
me.
Wait a minute. At home, though, are these mutually agreed upon rules?
Well, to me, they're typical obligations, things like participating in taking care of the children, being financially responsible, taking care of the home, normal things. My husband definitely has some personal issues. He does stay out of the home a lot, and he's, we have definitely issues that need to get worked on.
All right. So
the problem is that when these things are yes.
Give me a question.
So when these things are happening, I find, I definitely have a cortisol issue. So I was saying that I definitely immediately go into fight or flight because these things just bother me. And when they repeat themselves, it's just like the same thing over and over. The only thing I found, especially, working, you have to deal with it. But at home, the only thing I've really found is, unfortunately, I shut down like a mall door. It's like the steel door comes down and that's it. I have to disengage completely to avoid myself getting escalated because it bothers me. I get shaky.
Give me one example of the kind of infraction that would cause you to shut down like an iron door.
Last night we were having a normal conversation. I was actually talking about the things at work that were bothering me, people that were, being a little crazy about wanting to return a certain item. And we were just discussing like he was like talking about, how you learn not to do things or whatever. And he mentioned something that, I remember, a destructive thing he did as a teenager, with ruining some mailboxes. And I said, I was very upset. I said, yes, but that's not, you didn't learn anything other than you grow up and you go, oh, that was terrible. I shouldn't have done things like that. And we just kind of got in an argument because it seemed to me he was defending himself like, oh, that's how I learn things or whatever. I don't know. And then he ended up comparing, he made a terrible comparison that kind of set me up. I was in an abusive relationship a long time ago when I was an 18, a very old, we've been married for 26 years, have 3 kids. And he said, when I was saying, that's how you learn things, he goes, well, I didn't have to get beat up by my wife for 2 years before I learned how to leave. And that was just completely uncalled for, out of nowhere. We weren't escalated at the time. He just gets in a certain way and lashes out. And so my reaction is I will lose my mind when he says certain things like that. So I will just literally, I have to leave the room, leave the home, go into a different area, distract myself.
Is this a pattern?
Yes.
Where, because you said, when he said that's how you learn things, he was beating up mailboxes, and you said, no, that's not. What did you say to him about his?
Yeah, I said, no, you grow up and then you look back and go, it's not like he got in trouble and learned his lesson. He just grew up and looked back and went, oh, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. But he was still kind of defending it oh, I was with my friends. Oh, we were drinking. We couldn't have, I don't know. He was just making excuses and I was getting annoyed. I wasn't angry. I didn't raise my voice. But I was like, you just keep defending yourself. You're not just saying it was terrible that I did that and I shouldn't have done it. Why do you keep defending it? It literally changed the topic we were talking about completely, but then he threw that other comment in there about my old relationship that I barely think about. And I was just like, okay, now I'm done talking here, and left the room and didn't speak to him for the rest of the night because it was either that or I'm going to scream.
So, what he said was obviously much more hurtful than what you said, right?
Yes, I feel I was trying to mantra to myself, I'm not a gun, I don't have a trigger, because I feel like it's just, I don't know how to stop letting these buttons be pushed.
Well,
I prayed to God to change me if he can't change others.
Do y'all do this a lot? You get
frequently, it's a big roller coaster, been going on for a while.
Okay.
Struggling to deal with that as well.
Let me suggest something, because it's very different than what you were talking about earlier. And earlier, you were talking about, it sounded like that you had how you thought things ought to go, and people didn't meet those expectations, and that would trigger you and be stressful, which is a lot of times you do see with people that are very rules based, like you're saying, and you have a lot of expectations of the way things ought to be in life, and you should do the dishes after dinner before you watch TV, and you should do this, and that's the way they think.
Well, just do them at all, but yeah.
Well, what they'll do is they'll take their preferences and then they'll moralize those preferences to where everybody should live by those rules. Okay. Now that's very different than the scenario you brought up, which is that he said something that was kind of demeaning and hurtful to you. Okay, that's different than meeting an expectation. So what I think you guys need to go talk about is you need to sit down and say, we got in a fight last night because I said something that hurt you. I judged you as a teenager and you didn't like that, but then you said something that really hurt me. And what I've noticed is, and he did, I'm not excusing that at all. So, that was really
no, yeah.
That was a bad comment. He said that was awful. You were a victim, and that was awful. But the point is, what y'all need to talk about is, let's find a way when each of us is hurt. Let's find a different way of talking to the other one, so we can begin to become allies to help each other's hurt instead of further alienate each other. Because this happens in every relationship to different degrees. We all hurt each other. And if we don't have ways to begin to enter into that hurt space and soothe each other and heal each other and own and apologize and basically rescue the other one from the pain they're in that we caused, then we're going to stay stuck in a loop. So that's what I would want you guys to talk about. And on the other side, I'm sorry we're out of time, but on the other side, I think you've got to look at, okay, I've got a lot of expectations of the way the world ought to be. And you may be very right, Donna, because you sound responsible and you do things very well. I would probably want you
To me,
cleaning up
that's
my
the thing.
life.
I don't think I'm like great and responsible. To me, it's just normal. Everyone should do this. I don't think it's that, fantastic. It's just like, just do the right thing and then everything would be fine.
Yeah, you know what? A guy named Moses tried that. Yeah, he came off that hill and said, look, guys, there's only 10 things you got to do. Everybody ought to do these. It's not that dumb. Don't go sleeping with everybody.
Wow.
Don't go stealing
Wow.
everything. And don't kill your neighbor. And you know what? They did it anyway. So there you go. So I think you might ought to realize that, like you said, that
I tell myself, I haven't
be a
sweat
great
like
friend
Jesus
for
has
you to
sweat.
learn how to accept the things that you cannot change, and the courage to know the difference. So anyway, I got to run, but here's what I want you to do. I am going to get back on the phone and say hi to Albie and give him your info, and I'm going to send you our marriage webinar, which is 2 hours of very direct material on resolving conflict and how you guys can talk to each other differently and stuff like that. And other people can find that by going to boundaries.me/marriage. But I think that's a conversation that would do well if you guys could pull it off, is to sit down and say, how can we become each other's ally when we're hurt instead of hurting each other further? Okay, we are out of time. We got so many good callers waiting. I hope you guys call me back on Monday when we're back here, which we will be, I think. Let me check. I think I'm around. I am back on Monday on Flag Day. That's what my calendar says. It's Flag Day on Monday. How about that? Anyway, don't forget, sign up for the webinar, Restoring Your Brokenness, live webinar, Restoring Your Brokenness, Joining Faith and Mental Health. How does our spiritual life actually interface with our getting well and restoring our brokenness in all these areas? Go to boundaries.me/restore to sign up for that. Boundaries.me/restore. And while you're there, check out boundaries.me. It's a great platform with all sorts of courses on there that can help you where you hurt. Okay, guys, it's been great to be with you. I will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.